Could you talk about our paradigms? Because I think listeners today, this is going to impact their reality going forward. It always does, it always has, and it always will. So could you touch on that?
Sure, yeah. So again, my father used to always say, you don't get it. No one gets it. Yeah. Our own company doesn't get it. Paradigms are everything. Paradigms mean the lens through which you see the world, your perspective, your viewpoint, your interpretation of the world. And he always used to say, you know what, if you want to change your life, you can make small changes by changing behaviors. But if you want to make quantum changes, big changes, change your paradigm, the way you view things. And in fact, behavior changes won't stick unless you change your mindset, right? And so
totally.
He talked a lot about that, and everything we do at Sean Covey now, whenever we talk about, we have a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution, and it teaches companies how to execute in their highest priorities, and it's based on paradigms, right? Yeah, like one of the paradigms we teach is everyone thinks you can do many things well at once as a company, right? You can have 5, 10, 6, 8 projects, big goals. Paradigm we teach is no, you can do 1, maybe 2 things well at one time. And we help companies say, you know what, you got far too many goals, they're not well written. And I promise you, if you can narrow it down to 1 or 2 things, and we recommend 1, watch the power of shifting that paradigm, right? So in the book, and I don't know if you want me to tell a story about my son.
I do. Nathan, I thought that was a powerful story. And actually, it made me get choked up as I have my own memory with my son that I'll share too. So yes, please do.
Sure. Well, it's a good example of how I had to change my paradigm. And it's with my son, Nathan, who as a young boy had extreme, I'll call it social anxiety. He'd get scared with anything that was out of his comfort zone, especially dealing with other people. And so going to school was a big deal. Getting him to go to kindergarten was really hard. And first grade, kindergarten, he'd go about every other day. And it was a chore to get him to go. I remember one time about first grade trying to get him out of the car at school. And I was with him and I had to tear off his fingers one by one.
I read that.
Off the seat. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this is good for my son. Part of me's thinking, don't do this. Don't push him. Part of me's thinking, no, toughen him up a little bit, right?
Right.
I'm tearing his fingers off. And I'm just like in bits myself over this, thinking, am I doing the right thing? And then I throw him over my shoulder. I got the principal to come help me. He came out of the building into the parking lot, and I handed Nathan to him. Nathan's fighting us. Principal throws him over his back. He's carrying him into the school, and Nathan's slugging his back. I don't want to go.
Right.
In the car, and I cried because I thought, oh my gosh, that was horrifying. Am I doing the right thing? And this kid is going to be really difficult raising him, And in second grade, I got him to try out for baseball. I had to talk him into it. Do you want to play? No way, Dad, no way. Finally, he said yes. We got to practice, first practice. Get out of the car. He sees the coach, the other players, anxiety, falls on the ground and plays dead.
Yeah.
Literally. I think we were reading bear books at the time about bear attacks.
So lay down and act dead.
He stays on the ground, plays dead. I'm thinking, no way you're doing this. So embarrassing, right?
Right.
As a parent.
Right.
I go get the coach. We're about 10 yards away from the other players who are warming up. I say, my son, he's kind of struggling. Could you come talk with him? He comes over. Hey, Nathan, Coach Smith, how you doing? Nathan's laying there. Nothing. Hey, Nathan, hey, it's cool. Just come up. We'll make things easy for you. Nothing. He laid there for the whole practice, 1 hour. Practice ended. He looked around. Nobody was there. He got up, hopped in the car as if nothing was wrong. And I'm thinking, no way, you just did that. I can't believe this kid. So I think over time, TJ, honestly, with good intent, I developed kind of a paradigm of him of insufficient.
That's right.
Not going to measure up, going to be a challenge. I love him, but he's not capable, right? And I was at a football game. This would have been in about 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being really annoying. I'm already upset with him. And he's kicking the seat in front of him.
Mm.
The guy turns around and says, "Will you please get your son to stop it?"
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm upset. And I reach over and I grab Nathan's arm and I squeeze it like parents sometimes do. Yep. I said, "Just stop it right now." And I was angry and upset and mad. And I squeezed him pretty hard on his arm. And he kind of just wilted and leaned back in his seat. And I felt such shame at that moment. I really did. I just felt like, I can't believe what I just did. And I felt in my conscience, you know how sometimes your conscience just like separates from you and then speaks to you like Jiminy Cricket?
Yeah.
And I felt, this is what I felt, and it was strong. Mm-hmm. It was this impression. Do you have any idea who this kid is and how great he is? And how dare you treat him and think of him that way? Just wait till you see what he becomes. That's what I felt, all in a matter of like 10 seconds.
Yep.
And it was an epiphany, moment of truth, moment of insight, discernment, following my conscience. And I sat back. It was so strong, the impression I had, that I just said, wow, where did that come from? And I looked over and he was still kind of wilted from my anger. And I thought to myself, he is great. And how dare me feel and think of him that way? And I went home and I told my wife about what had happened. And I just said, you know what? This kid is amazing. We're seeing him wrong. We need to just kind of let go, not see him as insufficient or incapable. Let him blossom at his own time, in his own way, and not force it. Let's help him, but not force it, and he'll be fine. So we shifted our paradigm. We really did. And it was this event that created that. And I remember meeting with him one time and I said, Nathan, you're going to be fine. You're going to get through this. Let's help your weakness become a strength. Because he recognized he had this weakness, right? And he said, okay, Dad, I'd love your help. Well, a year later, he goes to a Leader in Me school, which is a school that teaches the 7 habits and teaches leadership. We have about 5,000 of them now across the world. And they asked him to speak at Leadership Day. It's the day when they showcase what they're doing.
Right.
He comes home. He goes, they asked me to speak, Dad. No way I'm going to do it. They just did that because you're the 7 habits guy.
That's a lot.
I said, Nathan, it wasn't me. It was to you. And I want you to call him right now and get me out of this. I said, I'm not going to. Well, I'm going to do it then. I said, okay, but I think you should do it. Well, I didn't do anything. I wanted to see what he would do. And I watched quietly as it got closer and closer to the date, and I wouldn't pull him out. Part of me thought, he's going to get up and fake dead.
Yeah, right. Like you did earlier, right?
Sure. But then I thought, no, he can do this. And then I thought, I saw him prepare quietly his own speech. He got up on Leadership Day, 200 people. He gets up and he gave a little speech on habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And he talked about how he had bad ankles and they hurt, and how some doctors didn't listen to his problems and how it hurt and when it hurt. And so he wouldn't listen to their prescription, right, because of that. And he taught it really beautifully. And halfway during the speech, which was about 2 minutes, no, maybe 3 minutes, he paused from fear. And it was a moment of decision. And he wanted to freak out from fear. He looked around and he paused for maybe 10 seconds. And then all of a sudden he continued and finished. And afterwards he got a big ovation. And it changed him.
Yes.
He was so proud of himself. He got home and he thought, I'm a good speaker. And then he started taking speaking opportunities and looking for more and asking for them.
Yep.
He got better and better. By the time he got into high school, he's the most confident, outgoing kid you'll ever meet, full of compassion because he lived with this problem all through his childhood, right, where he couldn't be around people. And now he's just the opposite, and his weakness became his strength. And it was really incredible to see. and to witness. And I attribute it to, I think he would have turned out great either way, but clearly we had a big role in this, my wife and I. We had to shift our paradigm. Once I shifted my paradigm and I thought, there's greatness in this kid, and he's going to blow me away. He felt that, and that was communicated in 100 ways to him, right? Through little nuances and how I behaved and how I treated him and so on. And it communicated worth and potential and capability and sufficiency. So that's the power of a paradigm, is it is the lens through which you see everything. And if you see differently, you can perform at such a higher level.
That's true. And that's where the breakthroughs come, is when you have these moments of insight. That when I read the story, I thought of an experience I had in my home where my son, Connor, second son, he's in Croatia right now, but Connor was always the kind of boy that was really gung-ho, and then he would borrow a tool or something, never put it back where he got it. I could never find the tool, or he would break something because he wouldn't read the instructions, and then he'd try to put it together on his own. And I would, at times growing up, get frustrated with him that you're impulsive. Anyway, so he's in high school. I'm sitting on the couch. He comes in, he breaks something, and I got upset. Sitting there, he's in high school, he's standing up, sitting there. I said, Connor, why are you so impulsive? Why can't you be patient? Connor, why can't you be this person?
Yeah.
And in high school, he's strong-willed too. He pushed back at me. He said, Dad, why are you always judging me? Why are you always being hard on me? And I said, because Connor, you don't slow down and think. Now, this is not something I'm proud of, right? Yeah. This was just a moment in time.
Yeah. Happened.
And it happened. And I remember he stormed off and he went to his room. Strong, big teenager. And I sat there on the couch and felt like I won the battle. All right? I'm good. But as I sat there, a couple minutes later, that conscience spoke to me and said, TJ, you didn't win nothing. And I remember getting up and going to my room. Sorry. I knelt at the side of my bed and I just closed my eyes and thought about the dad I was being. And in that moment, I had pure intelligence flow into me, which said this: TJ, the reason you're critical of him is because he's just like you. TJ, you can be impulsive. TJ, you sometimes won't read the instructions and break whatever you're working on, right? TJ, you, and in a matter of 10 seconds, just like you said, I saw this whole new view of my weaknesses relative to what I was judging him about. And I remember, I think I said a quick prayer, and then I went to his room. I knocked on the door, opened it up, and I apologized. And I said, Connor, I owe you a huge apology. I have been judging you for this, and this. And I just realized at the heart level that really I've been judging myself. And I apologize that I've inflicted that onto you. And from that moment on, I think it was the sophomore, junior in high school, my attitude toward him completely changed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, TJ. And that's so similar. And
similar.
Paradigm shift, and the behaviors that flow from that are so easy. They come naturally. You don't have to force them or practice. They just come.
Yeah.
That you see correctly. And these are examples of paradigms towards other people. We also have paradigms about ourselves that are often wrong.
Yes.
Like, I'm not a morning person, or I'm not good at this, or right, that we have to shift. Or we have paradigms of the world in general that are off, that are wrong, that we can shift. And you want to get correct paradigms. You think about the power of seeing the sun as the center of the universe instead of the world, right? How that changed everything once you saw correctly. In the same way, if we can get correct views of other people and who they really are, of ourselves and who we really are, it can be a powerful thing. And these paradigm shifts can happen sometimes by accident, like this,
right?
Serendipity.
Yep.
But sometimes what do you do if you really need to change something? Sometimes changing your role can be a good thing. Sometimes reading a book can do it. Talking with another person, getting a different perspective, educating yourself. These are ways of shifting your paradigm.
But I think we are going on a walk, right? I mean, I just think we have to, part of the problem is we live in a fast-paced culture, and to be able to have those moments, we have to slow down, and we have to push away the distractions. Like, just take some time to separate from everything for a season, for a few minutes, for something, so that you can hear the voice within, or the voice from wherever it comes from. I mean, it's powerful.